Okay, so I've got the space pretty much emptied out, except the stuff on the shelves. It's not going to matter about that stuff. Of course, I do have to keep a spare tire just in case. You never want to be caught with a spare tire without a spare tire when you need one. Everything else is piled up over there. After I finish my work, I'll put it all back. That's all. But should get better gas mileage without all that stuff in there anyway. There's a lot of weight there. This work box itself is quite heavy. It's all made out of fiberglass, and it's got some weight to it too. So anyway, let me take my water back here. Yeah, so I have to stop and leave those little jars off there for that lady, and then I can go from there to my job, where I'll be working is literally only about 3 blocks away from where I'll be dropping the jars off. So there's a few people I know that are getting into natural remedies and natural healing and whatnot, which is good. Pretty birds. There. It's good because the medical system is getting increasingly unreliable. At least in this country it is. And also, it's harmed a lot of people over the years, including myself. And so, sometimes it harms people by accident, and sometimes it does it maliciously. I've had both experiences. So yeah, I know there's an arbitrary rule in society that certain groups of people are the good guys, and we must always believe in them and always show them respect and trust and be obedient to them and stuff. But that is kind of a false narrative. They're human beings, and there's evildoers amongst them like there is amongst anyone else. And plus, those kinds of systems, whether it's the medical system or the court system or the police or whatever, those sorts of systems, they circle the wagons to protect their own. Hey, you, I'm going to get you some new water, okay? Yeah, I will. Hey, you're beautiful. You're beautiful, you are. I'm going to get you some new water. I am. Poor Rocky. Anyway, here we go. So like I say, so even the good ones will rally to protect the bad ones from suffering any consequences. I had an incident years ago with an Ottawa cop, a really bad incident, and was falsely accused of some things. And I fought the charges. I went to court to fight the charges. And they were aware that I was going to fight them. The prosecutor was aware and everything months ahead of time. Because I went and I sat in that courtroom and I observed for a morning. And there was an older man who was the judge that morning. And at the end of the sitting, as everybody was leaving, he asked me, he said, do you have business with this court? And I said, no, sir, not today, but I am going to be on trial in this courtroom in a few months. And I said I was in the city, and I decided that I would come and sit and watch proceedings, just to get an idea of how it works, you know, and how to properly act and so on. And I said, I hope that's okay. And he said, yes. He said, that's fine. In fact, he said, I think that's very wise of you. And anyway, come the day of my trial, the same judge was sitting there, and I thought, this is good. This guy already likes me, so this is a good thing. Anyway, when my case came up, he went out of the courtroom, and they brought in a French female judge, and she was nasty. And she convicted me. She didn't want to hear anything from me other than that I was guilty. She was mad at me for going against the police officer, and she convicted me. Anyway, bottom line is, that was a case of the system protecting its own. See, now, the only way she could have acquitted me would have been if if she had acquitted me, she would have had to call the cop a liar. Now, the cop was lying, but if she were to acquit me, that would be calling the cop a liar. And at that point, every case that cop had touched would have to be looked at. Because if he jacked me up, how many other people did he jack up? So every case then would have to be examined. And that would be quite a daunting task. And then people might have to be refunded fine money. People might have to be compensated for lost jobs and lost driver's licenses and higher insurance premiums and serving jail time and everything else. Convictions would have to be reversed. It would be a huge mess anyway. So basically, I figured out what it was. They decided that it was better to convict one innocent man that day than to go through that mess and maybe uncover a whole bunch of other innocent men and have to reverse their convictions and compensate them. Because I mean, if you got sent to jail for something you didn't do, on the word of this cop, the government might end up owing you an awful lot of money. Or if you lost your license and became unemployable, lost your job, maybe you lost your home, maybe it screwed your marriage up and you ended up divorced. Anything could happen as a result of what this cop was doing. That's the same cop I told you about in another video that pulled over a black man and accused him of stealing the car he was driving because he was black. The cop used a different word than black. He used a very strong racial slur, starting with N. Anyway, the cop said that, and the guy's girlfriend recorded the encounter. The same cop. And when the guy asked the cop for his name and badge number, and the cop started thumping him around and said, "You want to know my badge number? My badge number is 666. That's the same cop. So you can imagine all the dirty things that he's done and all the stuff, all the people that would have to be compensated. If they acquitted me, that's what would have happened. And so they decided it was better to sacrifice me to protect him, to not have to deal with all that. And so they brought this other judge in. I think probably the man who was there that in the morning had refused to play ball, so they brought another one in who would. And they convicted me anyway. And she even made up a story to justify convicting me. Like she made up a whole scenario and described this scenario of how I did this and that and the other thing, and therefore, and there was nothing given in evidence that would even indicate any of that happened, either by me or by the cop. But she ended up, she convicted me, and she used a story that she made up. She wrote a little story and made that up to justify it. So, I mean, that's what we're dealing with anyway. And the same thing's true in the medical system. Even the good doctors will uphold the bad doctors for the most part, And so you don't get a whole lot of help if you get screwed up or screwed over by the medical system either. And so, bottom line is, a lot of people are taking things into their own hands and going back to the old ways. Learning how to make various types of drugs out of herbs and roots and things that grow in their yard, basically. And it is amazing how much stuff there is just growing in the ground. I was amazed when the lady from across the road here, who's actually become a pretty good friend of mine, when she came over here, because she's into all that, I was really amazed at the stuff that's growing within a few feet of this camper, of the actual drugs that are growing here. I couldn't believe it, when I went around with her and saw the different things and what they are, So yeah, anyway, that's what's happening. People are starting to take the bull by the horns and do things for themselves because they're not trusting the system anymore. And it's not as if there isn't some good reason not to trust it. I'll probably catch a lot of flack for what I'm saying right now. There'll be people. Yeah, I've had people before on Facebook pages especially. I've had people tell me that I should die a horrible death and burn in hell for saying that the medical system doesn't work or whatever, you know. I posted a thing one time about how a cat's purr has healing properties. And the comments on there were just wicked, you know. They accused me of saying that they shouldn't seek medical advice from a doctor, that they should just let their cat purr or whatever and that would heal them, which isn't what I said at all. But I literally had people telling me that I should burn in hell, calling me a piece of shit and telling me I should die a horrible death and burn in hell for posting things like that. I had people say that people who post things like that should be sent to jail, that it should be a jailable offense to post something like that, and so on. But there actually is clinical evidence that a cat's purr has healing properties. One of the reasons that a cat purrs is to heal itself. When a cat is sick or injured, it'll purr, and that helps the cat to heal. It isn't always because they're happy and content that they purr. And in the 1930s, there was a doctor who actually cured cancer, not with a cat's purr, but with sound frequencies. And he was able to actually cure cancer by applying sound frequencies to his patients. And he cured dozens of people. He didn't lose very many patients. He lost a few patients, but not very many. Most of them he was able to cure. And that was documented at the time, and that guy was pretty much destroyed by the system, though. They just raked him over the coals and made his life a living hell. So, yeah. Anyway, bottom line is, when you look at it now, they use sound frequencies to break up kidney stones now, you know. So there is some acknowledgement that sound frequencies have a place in medicine nowadays. But anyway, bottom line is, it seems if you don't just unconditionally believe in all these systems, then you're labeled a criminal or somebody who deserves to be locked up, somebody who deserves to be tortured, somebody who deserves to die a horrible death, and that even that's not enough. After all that happens to you, you deserve to burn in hell for eternity. So anyway, people do love their systems, but that is changing as more and more people get let down by their systems. Anyway, Rocky and I are trying to live as peaceful a life as we can. And we're doing pretty well for the most part. Yes, we are. I don't know what you can see right now because I got the screen pointing away from me. And so I don't know. I'm just aiming the camera blindly and hoping that you're seeing something. Anyway, Rocky's giving me wonderful head boobs right now. Yes, you are. You're a good head booper, you know. A world champion head booper. You are. He's my favorite cat, I'll tell you, in the whole world. Hey, you're my favorite cat, you know. You're my favorite person who's a cat, Rocky. Last night, well, really early this morning, I picked a tick off the back of my neck. It hadn't bit me yet, but it was crawling around on the back of my neck, and I managed to get it before it could bite me. But, yeah, they're out in force anyway. That's it. We'll talk to you later. I don't even know if it's still recording at this point because I can't see the screen. Let me turn it around and say, oh, it's still recording. Okay. Anyway, we'll talk to you all later. We will. Hey, there's Rocky again. I'll just do this. Hopefully you'll catch a glimpse of him. Hey. All right. Bye for now.